In this video, I want to show you the difference between HECS balls and shuttles when you're practicing against a wall. One of the main features is that these are quieter. So we've talked about that a lot in advertising and things like that, but here's an actual demo. Here with kind of just a regular wall. This drywall is a little bit hollow. There's not a lot of insulation behind it, but this is the sound that a feather shuttle makes. Here's a plastic shuttle. Here's a number 1 HECS ball, number 2, number 3. So as you can see, they're much quieter, mainly because they absorb force when you're hitting the wall. So obviously the main difference is that these guys are fluffy, these guys are not. So there's not a lot of the cork surface area that hits the wall. It's only a very tiny portion, and it's a lot harder. So that's why you hear a much louder noise. So that noise will be very loud even if it's a tiny hit, like a tiny throw. Now the thing about HECS balls is that yes, they're quiet, but the harder you hit them, of course, the louder it's going to be, just because there's more force involved. So here's a bit of a demo with each of the 3 to give you an idea of how loud they are. I'll start off with very soft hits with the number 1. Number 2. So you can notice it's a little bit louder. And the number 3. Okay, if we go straight from there to harder hits, that's with the number 1. Number 2. And number 3. Now I know some of you want to practice hitting a lot harder, so this is where the HECS balls really come in. The number 1, if you hit it hard, it will bounce quite far. So that's basically like just a drive, a very short drive. With the number 2, it bounces a lot less, and then the number 3 bounces even less. So if you want to practice some powerful hitting, you can do so pretty close to the wall with the number 3. The number 2 will bounce a lot faster. And then the number 1, which is a lot faster. So I hope that gave you a good idea of what to expect from HECS balls. This room is pretty echoey. It doesn't have a ton of soundproofing in it, and so probably the loudest noise you're going to hear is actually the ball hitting the strings. And one last thing I should mention is the fact that these absorb a lot of energy means you're also actually going to preserve your strings way longer. I have yet to even experience fraying in my strings, and this is strung at 28 pounds. From just using HECS balls. So that's what you can expect from HECS balls, both in terms of noise and their impact against the wall and your strings.